Okay, so tonight we're going to talk more about planning instruction. And I know you probably think this is overkill, but honestly, when I turn you loose with your buddies, you'll be like, oh man, I wish we'd talk more about planning instruction. So this is a way to review, and all of this is available to you. So don't worry about writing it down, let's just go through it and talk about it. So, and I like to do this because at one time Dr. Estes was using my videos, and she hates it when it's like that, so that's the little evil part of me that puts that into the PowerPoint from time to time. So, why do we do instructional planning? It's because teachers need it. It helps us know what to teach, when we're going to teach it, how to teach it, and most importantly, how to know if they learned it. So, I was in 2 classes today, really happy to see that the kids were doing something after they were instructed, so the teacher could check to see if, the teachers could check to see if they had really learned it. And it was a wonderful lesson because one kid just acted like he knew everything, but then when he started to do the project and writing persuasive letters, so it was a good check for understanding and a real non-threatening way to check. So that's always a good option, and you all can remember that. So why do you plan? Taylor, why do you plan?
Because we don't know.
We don't know. All right. Why else do you plan, Katie?
So that you know what your kids need to know by the end of the day or by the end of the unit.
Okay. Juan?
Also, so that you could, like, for questions, you know what questions to ask the kids, see what you're assessing for.
Good. Okay. And Brian?
It's
One more reason.
so if you know where the direction to go, it's a lot easier to get the kids to where you want them to be than just not having an idea of what
It's like a roadmap. You know, you may veer off a little bit here and there, but it does help you. So this is not meant to insult you. And somebody said this. And when you start to teach, it's easy for kids to get you off task. And they kind of really love to do that. I observed a couple of them today. Well, I know this, but blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, what's she doing? I did tell her not to let them call her miss, so that makes me crazy. Well, she has to learn their names. She didn't call them Steve, so they shouldn't call you miss. I tell them that all the time. I have a name, and it's not miss. There you go. Okay? You also don't really know. You're not going to sit down, I hope, and read the TEKS to see what they were supposed to learn in the grade before. If you're doing that, then we need to talk. You need to know what, you don't really know what they kind of know until you do things like pre-test. You look at the books before. If you're teaching 2nd grade, it's always smart to get a 1st grade book and kind of just thumb through it, get an idea of what they've been exposed to, because you may say, and I was in high school, remember, and I said, we're going to talk about the parts of speech. We've never heard of that. You heard that in 2nd grade. No, we never, I don't know what a noun is. Okay, so don't fall for that. And it's also professional. So, and it's also required in most school districts. Now, the type of lesson plan, once again, I want to tell you, please know that what we use in this class, Dr. Estes won't use in her class, Fort Worth ISD doesn't use for their new teachers. There's something called the Fundamental 5, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. So there's all kinds of lesson plans out there. But as long as you understand what the parts of the lesson the parts are, then you're going to be okay. You don't get hung up on the template. You get hung up on what to write in the lesson. Okay. So what are the standards, Jocelyn?
Standards of.
What are the standards that we use to teach? In the teaching profession, standards.
Oh,
are-
TEKS.
Thank you. All right. So, good job.
Thank you.
And so, the standards tell us what we have to teach. And the TEKS are here. We use it, and the STAR is now the test. So the STAR is written based on the TEKS. Did you all know that? Okay. So if you don't teach the TEKS, your kids have a vacant area in which they could be in trouble. So there's a lot of pressure right before the STAR test, and you'll see it. by the way, I hope all of you have arranged to start your field experience, because they were talking about the testing calendar today at school, and so I know it's gonna be on their teachers' minds pretty soon, so you need to kind of get out there as quickly as you can. And if you're having any trouble, be sure and let Dr. Estes and me know, so that maybe we can give you some guidance. We'll be glad to, if we can. Okay, so curriculum is what, Ashley?
It is what you're working from as a teacher. So your
It's
textbook and
it's
your
actually the
guidelines.
content, yeah.
Mhm.
Now, there's all kinds of curriculum. And so there's formal, which is what's required. Many school districts will give you a site to go to see their curriculum for their district. Some still use old-fashioned, give you a notebook with the curriculum for their district. I like that because I can take it home and, you know, I can sit on the sofa and look at it. But a lot of people don't want to mess with that. So your curriculum is written. Now, how you teach it is a different story. So you'll have to find the materials. Hopefully there'll be some in your text, and your partner teachers will help you find materials to support what you're teaching, so that you're not always just doing worksheets. Okay. Oh, the objectives, Megan. What is an objective? Yes, you do. ABCD.
Audience, behavior, condition, degree.
Now, everybody won't use that particular template, but I think it's good to start with that. You may never see it again. Dr. Estes and I argue about this all the time. But I think it's really good to know how to start. Then, if your district says don't do that, or that some districts do, I teach, what do they do? I do, you do, we do? Yeah. Okay. So, you might have, hi Ray, we're glad to see you. You may sit anywhere you want. No, what are these three tables?
I may not stay, we'll see.
Oh Lord. Do you have fever?
I'm getting worse. The closer I got here, the worse I got.
Oh, you're allergic to here.
Allergic to here. I was gonna say, I think here.
Okay, so here would be a great place for you to
Yeah.
go, right? Thank you. Okay. So where was I? Remember.
Do you teach, I teach?
Yeah, so like an El Dorado, Dr. Estes, please.
I was just gonna say it's called gradual release of responsibility, the I do, we do, you do.
I figured you did. Okay, so I see it on the board, the teacher's right. I do, we do, I do, we do, you do. No. I do, we do, you do, yeah, okay. It's on the board, and then the teacher fills it in each day with each lesson. So I do, I teach you about nouns. We do an exercise together. You do whatever the assessment is. So when the kids come in, they see what's gonna happen. And it is good, it's really good. I was like, where's the objective? Oh, there it is. So, yeah, but until you get ready for that, I want you to think about the whole picture. So I still like this method. Dr. Estes won't make you use it. So that's, if you hate it, you have that to look forward to. Okay, basically the reason you have an objective, because it tells you what the learners are supposed to know. The objectives on your lesson plan are not something that you show the kids. If you're gonna write something on the board, you do it in kid talk. So you might write this wonderful objective for your math lesson. It talks about 2-digit, blah, 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 and such degree. But on the board, you would just write today, we're gonna do 2-digit number, or multiplication, or whatever it is. So they'll know what you're teaching, and you have to have the objective posted every single day. So don't forget that. It's important. But also it gives kids something to know what they're gonna learn. It makes them know you planned. You're not just flying up the seat. Okay, so general or real broad, you don't have to worry about those, I just want you to know them. And here, who was talking to me the other day about cognitive effectiveness? It's like, oh yeah, oh Taylor was trying to tell me that. Okay.
Well, you said Bloom, and I thought there were three
And you
divisions,
read,
and then you
read your
division.
book. So Benjamin Bloom does have three kinds of domains. We just don't focus on effective and psychological. But yes, it's important for you to know that. But we'll focus on the cognitive part right now.
Okay.
Because that's what you've got to do when you're setting up your lessons. So. Okay. Here they are. So the first level in Bloom's is what? Good job. After knowledge comes, say it with energy.
Comprehension.
Good. And then next,
Analysis.
Application.
And then
analysis.
analysis, and then
Synthesis.
and then evaluation. Remembering that sometimes in the later stuff, you may see evaluation and synthesis reversed. I don't think it makes that much difference, but they're both very high level. So those are the level and Benjamin Bloom, and we have verbs to match it. So an introductory lesson might involve knowledge and comprehension. You always have to plan for application, hoping that you get there, maybe not in the first lesson, maybe you will. Depends on the level of your students and how often they've heard this particular topic. So that's one reason that you need to know what they learned the year before. If they've heard it over and over and you start too basic, you lose them. So don't teach down to your kids. Same time, you got to figure out where they are. How could you do that? Well, how could you figure out where they are?
Questions?
You could ask questions. What else could you do?
You could start with an assessment instead of.
Good. I used to love to give a pretest before I taught, and I'd always say to my kids, please fail this class. Please fail this test. I won't count it, anything, but that'll give me something to teach. If you all pass it, then I have nothing to teach. So I kind of lifted the veil of stress, but it also told me what they knew. So if I had 6 kids that scored 80 or above, I better have something ready for them to do, at least the first few lessons that I teach, or else the class is going to be. So a pretest is an excellent way, and you have it on paper. Asking questions is good. However, if you're like me and you have one class, you might said that, you might not really remember. So it's good, at least at first, until you get to know your kids. It's good to have paper. The first thing they do is they just get it. They just receive it. And then the second thing they do is they respond. And you don't have to write this, I promise you, it's available to you. If you feel better writing, please go ahead. And then the third one, which is where we always want our kids to be, but very seldom do all of them get here, is they value what you taught them. So if you relate what they're learning to their lives, you're more likely to have them value it, which is why part of the assessment that we use says relating to kids, relating to their real life, because we emphasize that so that the kids can have a buy-in. So you're really valuing this because you're going to have to use it. If you were just kind of listening, you might just say, oh. But this is your way to make money. This is your way to earn a living. This is your goal in life. So you're at the all of you started kind of at the valuing level. You may fluctuate on some things, but you know that this is important information. Then you get it organized. That'll be a tough job. And then you understand how to put it into your life. It becomes characterization. Okay, then psychomotor, I am not going through this with you all. This is all PE people have to know this. And it's there. This is moving and feeling, and it's important. I'm not minimizing it, but I don't want to complicate your life by talking about something. This is if you move all the time, if you get kids to move, they move down this line. Yes.
So can you tie in the psychomotor learning with the cognitive learning since we've been talking
It's all
about
tied
movement?
together. It's all tied together.
Okay.
But you need to take a whole course on taxonomies to be able to blend them nicely.
Okay.
And truly, in the big picture, we just don't do that. But is it important? Oh, yes. Yes. I don't mean to make you think I don't think it is. It is. But don't worry about it. Okay. Worry about other things. Okay, then we also have people that have learning theories. And once again, we're not going to talk about them too much because theoretical kinds of information is very important to understand how we base our teaching. But you're just going to have to trust me that we base our teaching on good theories. And when you have time after your second year of teaching, you can go back and read about these theories. And they'll make a lot of sense to you. Right now, it would be like me talking to you in German. I don't want to do that. I'm having trouble with just English, and you are too. So these are outcomes. Okay, turn to your shoulder buddy. Taylor, tonight your shoulder buddies are across. Ray, yell at Brian, but don't get too close. Okay, review the ABCD method of objective writing. Review it with your partner. Okay, Okay, the A stands for
Audience.
the B,
Behavior.
C,
Condition.
and D,
Degree.
according to Dr. Estes, which is the one that they use first.
Condition.
Condition, which makes it easier. So, that's her hint. All right. If you were gonna write an objective for a math lesson for kids that are learning double-digit multiplication, just write a quick one with your shoulder buddy, a quick one. The learner will. Okay, stop.
Guided
If you're not through, it's okay. I pushed you into it. I just want to see what you're thinking. So start, Brian.
We said the learner will correctly solve double-digit multiplication problems at center proficiency.
So the learner will, what is it going to do?
Solve.
No, what's it going to do? They're going to write it, they're going to spit it, they're going to sing it, they're going to what? Correctly solve it, it's vote for everybody. So that's not the verb you're looking for. What are they going to do? And where are they going to do it?
Okay, so yeah,
So you got the learner will,
the learner will.
and you got the D, the degree, but what are they gonna do? Correctly, no, that's what you want everybody to do. So this lesson is about double-digit multiplication. What are they going to do? You're gonna, how are you gonna know they know this?
Something like calculate or
Where?
on a
On the whiteboard.
on a white.
Perfect, now you got it, you see the difference? So you always want them to correctly get it, but how are they gonna show you that they got it? Okay, Megan, you all.
The learner will manipulate counting cubes to get double-digit multiplication problems correct at least 8 out of 10 times.
Okay, I didn't hear the first part, the learner will what?
Manipulate counting cubes, so they use the counting cubes to show.
Manipulate counting
Cubes.
cubes. I don't know exactly what that means.
So like say you had a thing of cubes, then you could put them in like groups of 10 and show that 10 times 2 equals 20 because they're 2 groups of 10.
The learner will then show using cubes.
Right.
Okay, so don't get too carried, don't get too carried away there. All right, you all.
The learner will use flashcard multiplication activities in pairs to review methods of double-digit multiplication in guided practice.
There you go. And where's your degree? Where's your degree?
Degree, we struggled with, we're calling it guided practice, so it's really not an assessment. It's more of the,
Okay, but you gotta have somehow that you're gonna judge it, so get rid of the guided practice, because
Okay.
that'll be in your lesson plan.
all right, with
But you're-
70%
There you
accuracy.
go, yeah.
70%
Cool.
we like.
That's perfect.
We do like that number.
Okay, Alicia.
All right, the student will identify by matching double-digit multiplication using flashcards with their shoulder buddy, getting 3/4 of them correct.
Okay, there's group of 3 that struggled over here. Let's hear it. Go, Andrea.
Using a whiteboard, the student will practice 2-digit multiplication with a 5 out of 8 problem accuracy.
Get rid of practice and say we'll write.
Will write.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, do you see, you have the big picture, but if I come into your room, I'm gonna wanna know exactly what the kids are gonna do. So always think of that. We have great educational words, but if they don't mean anything, don't use them, because they won't mean anything to you when you're up there teaching. You don't wanna complicate your life. So keep it simple and always have a focus. But y'all are doing good. I'm proud of you. Good. Okay, the ABCD method, we know already. Okay, so there's kinds of planning. I just want you to have heard of these. Long-range planning is when you're talking about, remember we talked about how units might go on for a week or 2 weeks or 2 days or whatever. That's long range. Intermediates, how you can break it into chunks. And short range, which is what you're gonna be working on almost always now. It's just what's gonna happen the next day. Most teaching teams plan for a week. So when you're with your team, they'll talk about what you're gonna do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'll plan that way. So your lessons will be done, and they meet on different days. So depending on when the lesson plans, if the lesson plans are due to the principal, and when they're due to the principal. So not every principal requires them to be submitted, but every evaluator requires that you have them some way so we can see them. So, all right. Choose someone across from you. Oh, never mind, that's not gonna work. Okay, choose somebody you haven't talked to. Ray, you can talk to, are you brave enough to talk to him at a distance?
I will.
Okay. And everybody else choose somebody you haven't seen today. And I want you to explain the lesson cycle, the 5 parts of the lesson.
Guided practice is a safe space.
Look at me, you can stay where you are, but look at me for just a second. When you talk about a lesson plan, that's the whole thing, putting standards, objectives, etc. But when you're talking about the cycle of the lesson cycle, that's just those parts that we learn, starting with focus. Okay, so every lesson has to have those. Of course, you have to plan. But so the first one would be what? Focus, and that's what you're going to work on tonight. And the second part is
Teacher input.
and then
Guided practice.
think about it linearly. You've taught, now you want to do something with them together, so you do guided practice. And then
Independent
guided
practice.
and then you want to wrap it up with
Closure.
So those are the 5 parts of the lesson cycle. Okay, so there's types of units. We'll talk about these as we go along, but there's, if you've done any exploring on the internet and you type in science units, a zillion of them come up. So you need to know when you're writing lesson plans that there are some already out there. Now, I hesitate to encourage you to use them yet, because if you don't get in the habit of kind of putting them together, it just becomes your mimic or an actor acting somebody else's drama. So it's not good, because when you move to a school, you may be the one in that group that has to write the science lesson plans, for example, if you're teaching elementary and you divide them up. So sure, look at them. Good Lord, that's what they're out there for. And there's lots of them and lots of sites. And we'll talk about some good sites and some sites that are, but those are already done. Your book will be a really good resource, your textbook. And then there's some, and most of the ones you see on the internet are these. Teachers just posted them at different sites. So some may be really good and some may be really strange. Then, no matter how well you plan, something's going to happen while you're teaching. And you'll be like, oh, that's perfect, and you'll pull it in. So that's experience. And you can't do it very often when you start teaching, or else what happens is you become the rabbit. And you hop over here and you never get to finish your lesson. But if you're talking about newspapers and a child says, this morning my mom told me in the newspaper she saw, or on television she saw, that's a teachable moment. You don't have to go too far into it, but it's perfect to acknowledge and to say yes, so that you support what's happening in real life. And then integrated is the most fun. I don't know if you'll ever get to do this, and I hope you will. I got to do it when I was in high school, because my principal was kind of wild and crazy. So I was teaching English, and the history teacher was kind of wild and crazy too. So he let us teach a whole semester together. So we blocked our kids. So if he was doing the 1870s and I did literature from the 1870s, it was so much fun, because it helped the kids understand, oh, this is, I mean, we read stories, and then he talked about whatever was happening in the 1870s, and we joined it up together. Well, then the music teacher got mad because he wanted to do it, so he joined us. So we had a phenomenal 2 years of teaching that. It was really fun, and the kids just got in line to take the class because it was meaningful. So if you ever can do that in your class, even without having another teacher, you can bring in another subject. Because Katie, I'm not good at math. Yes, you are, Katie. You know, kids Katie doesn't like math, but kids need to hear how things are joined together. So they're not going to school just learning subjects in isolation. So if you're talking about, we'll do math, then you can tell them how you use math in theater arts, how you use math in science, how you, oh gosh, they're hooked together. So you have to explain that to them. They have to be told, because they don't see it. They see subjects in isolation. And so it's a wonderful way to teach. And if you're an elementary teacher, you can kind of do that.